cloister's congregation, like the Sisters of the Incarnate Word, took up works of mercy, that is, working with the sick and the poor. And many old and new organizations eventually sent men and women as missionaries across the globe, including the United States. One of those missionaries, of course, was Bishop Claude Dubuis of Galveston, who needed lots of help in his frontier diocese of Texas. Quite naturally, he looked in the 1860s to his homeland and asked the Incarnate Word Sisters to recruit and train women religious to come to Texas. He put his appeal on the familiar words that we've heard in truly incarnational terms. Our Lord Jesus Christ, suffering in the persons of the multitude of sick and infirm of every kind, seeks relief at your hands. So this cloister community formed a new community, the Sisters of the Charity of the Incarnate Word. It's kind of important, the Sisters of the Love of God, the Sisters of the love that Jesus has for all of us, dedicated to prayer and service. Several of those sisters, as we know, came to Galveston, and from there, 3 of them came to San Antonio in the famous stagecoach ride and established the Clinic of Santa Rosa. They must have had a deep sense of mission to cross the Atlantic and then to come to San Antonio, but they were answering God's call. They may not have been aware that God's call was going to involve different kinds of works, and it did. The sisters began to take care of orphan children, and the orphan children needed schooling. And soon the sisters were opening schools for them, as well as for other children in the city of San Antonio. And the schools needed teachers, and the hospitals needed nurses. And so they began to train teachers and nurses, and they began to train others to train teachers and nurses. All the while, the great schools gave rise to a high school, and then to a college, with an 1881 charter from the state of Texas, the College and Academy of the Incarnate Word. In time, the grade school and the high school were operated separately, and the college became, as we know, the University of the Incarnate Word. And the teaching and healing mission of the sisters, schools and hospitals spread across Texas, Louisiana, Missouri, and Mexico. At some point, there were over 400 women religious answering God's call to these ministries. It is the story of new challenges in a changing world, challenges met by women from across the globe, from Ireland and Germany and Mexico and the United States. And the sisters are in Peru and in Africa in new kinds of work, and of course, here at the university. Back some time ago, I'm not going to say what decade it was, God's call took the sisters to Weslaco. Now, to the Mexican barrio and St. Joan of Arc School. Now, Weslaco is not the center of the world, but the sisters taught with dedication and care as if it were their center of the world. And my brother and I and many others were fortunate to get a very good education. Some of the sisters are buried here, and some I have met walking on the campus. When I think of the sisters in Weslaco, and they lived in a combination of 2 big World War II barracks without air conditioning. And all the sisters that worked in the hospitals and that worked at our university and at other schools, as well as the ones that came after them and the lay men and women who followed them, the words that Jesus said, found in the Gospel of John, come to mind. The world will know that I love the Father because I have done his will. Well, the world knows that these women and those who followed them, and all of whom we commemorate today, the world knows that they love God because they answered the call to serve with great love and dedication. Our prayer this morning is that they will inspire us, that they will give us new life to be like them, faithful witnesses to God's love in the classrooms, in the offices, in our workplaces, in the hallways, everywhere. And for this, we're grateful to them and for all those who answered God's call in the past as well as today.